Welcome to the Science to People podcast, where we turn cutting-edge science into information that's discoverable, understandable, and actionable. I'm your host, Brinleigh Murphy-Reuter. If you've checked out the news lately, you may have seen headlines talking about Texas investigating flavors in kids' fluoride toothpaste or ending fluoride guidance in water systems across the U.S. Even as of reporting today, May 14th, yesterday, the FDA announced that it will start removing prescription fluoride supplements from the market. These are normally prescribed to kids who are at high risk of cavities. So far, Utah has banned fluoride in its drinking water, and Florida is poised to become the second state to do that. These stories have really reignited debate, if there ever was any, about whether fluoride is a friend or a foe. So our guest today is my friend, Dr. Alexandria Arditti. She owns Pacific View Dental Group in Huntington Beach, California, and blends evidence-based dentistry with even yoga-based stress relief. She really is an expert on this topic and somebody that I reach out to regularly when I have questions about teeth, oral health, and now fluoride. Dr. Arditti, welcome to the Science to People podcast. Dr. Alexandria Arditti, welcome to the Science to People podcast.
Friendly. I'm excited to be here.
It's so good to see you, my friend. We are friends and have been for going on 15, 16 years. You are also an incredibly talented and prominent dentist in Southern California. You run your own practice there. And I've learned so much from you about oral health, oral hygiene, how to brush my kids' teeth. It has been wonderful having you as an expert in my back pocket. And this opportunity to have you on the podcast came about because everyone is freaking out about fluoride. And I was texting you a lot, trying to get the real on what's going on and what the dentist's view is on all of this. So I'm so happy to have you on and really dig into this topic today.
Thanks for having me. It's a good topic to kind of share some info on. I talk about it.
Do you? You talk about it every day?
Especially right now, we've got so many people coming in with questions on what's a smart choice for them, what they should be doing as an individual. And so we kind of break it down every day to help people make decisions.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I want to get into that. But I think the first thing that we do here is maybe a bit more straightforward for you, but we ask the coffee shop line. We're both waiting in line for coffee. It's a long one. Maybe I'm a little chatty. And I turn to you and say, what do you do? How would you describe your work?
Well, it's pretty easy. Most people know what a dentist does, but I'm a dentist in California, in Orange County specifically, and I run a family practice with a cosmetic slant. And what that means is I treat people of all ages and I aim to do conservative, beautiful dentistry for them. But really my main role there is to prevent dentistry. Less dentistry is the best dentistry. And so really just educating people and being an advocate for them and their individual health journey.
That's amazing. And I love this idea of preventative dentistry because I think I've always taken pretty good care of my own teeth, but yet I've been told by dentists in the past that just because they're white and square doesn't actually mean that they're healthy, mostly because I probably over whitened them and I grind my teeth. So they're like chiclets at this point. So I've always wondered kind of how preventative dentistry works. And now I think with all these kind of alarming headlines about fluoride or other measures of public health dentistry that we would kind of consider standard, I'm curious what you tell clients, patients who come to you with a news story. I mentioned earlier in your intro that just yesterday, FDA is going to be pulling fluoride supplements off the market for children. So I'm curious how you handle those conversations with patients, what you say. What do you want them to double check before sharing that?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, all headlines, be them true, false, somewhere in the middle, they're there to get your attention. So a headline is always going to give you kind of this worst case scenario. Everything's going to hit the fan if we don't solve this tagline. So that you click on it. Everyone wants your attention, right? Open
Yes.
me. And so once we get through that, then looking at the information that's actually within it, sometimes you open those stories and you're like, oh, that's not exactly what I thought I was getting. Or making sure we're really reading through what we're sharing with our friends and family, I think is important. I'm a big advocate for kind of choose your hard, right? There's a lot out there and there's a lot of different ways to tackle things, and no one way is going to be perfect. And so
Mm.
I'm here to give you kind of what research will show, but you still get to decide what fits well with you and your heart and your understanding of your body. So making sure that those headlines aren't just headlines, that they've got good information in there to help you make decisions more than just a great thing to click on.
I really appreciate that. I think that we do see so much clickbait out there. And now it's not now, but it has been for many years all over social media too. There's a lot of different opinions out there about these topics and these health topics in particular when it comes to super kind of consumer facing stuff. Like Texas is investigating whether flavored kids' toothpaste encourages swallowing of the toothpaste, especially if it's fluoride based. And are trying to ban that. I mean, first of all, my kids say that mint toothpaste is spicy as hell and they won't use it. So we need strawberry flavored toothpaste or bubblegum flavored toothpaste to put it in their mouths. So I'm curious kind of what you think about flavor and fluoride in consumer products versus what you use in your offices.
So I have two little kids, as you know, but the audience doesn't. And I have a medicine cabinet that pretty much all it has in it is toothbrush and toothpaste options because it's one less battle to fight. So we're going to brush our teeth. That's mandatory health. Like we're going to ride in a car seat. You can't come in the car if we don't go in the car seat. You can't live in my home if you don't brush your teeth. So
Yeah, naturally.
is what toothbrush, what toothpaste? Are we going to do it in the bathroom? Are we going to do it on the floor of your room? I don't really care, but we're doing this. Here's your power. And just like I said, that option of choice is something that's provided to me as the parent. And I'm choosing that that is a nice tool to use with my kids. I have parents all the time that, especially we're in Southern California, we're in Orange County, we're looking a lot at what's in our products. A lot of my community is very focused on getting rid of the extra stuff, the preservatives, all of that. And we are lucky in that we can get cleaner products that have a flavor that kids may like. And then, in my opinion, that also have the fluoride in there to help remineralize their teeth from their day of consumption that isn't always fruits and vegetables and healthy nuts. Like sometimes they eat, like it happens. And we need to clean that up so that they're not getting these artificial restorations in their mouth. So that's the hard I choose is, hey, we're going to do this little micro dose of fluoride to help prevent these bigger medical procedures on my children, where now we're putting artificial something in their tooth that's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that we're hoping lasts until their adult teeth come in so that they can have a proper development. And so that's my personal choice. And that's the way I educate my patient is, hey, if we want to avoid all the extra stuff, there's toothpaste out there for that. We can choose toothpaste that don't have all the preservatives, that don't have all the little micro beads in them or any of that, that still have maybe the good therapeutic options. So we're kind of choosing our hard there. I always go back to that.
I think that that's really insightful for people to think about the difference between, like, as you said, a microdose of something like fluoride that can be really supportive of oral health versus like getting a bunch of shit put in your teeth that is not meant to be there. You know, fillings and metals and all this other stuff. I mean, metals is maybe different when it comes to orthodontia, but like the repair of a tooth that's gone awry because of lack of care or lack of fluoride or other things. That's really an interesting thing to share with parents, especially ones who are worried about foreign things in the body.
Yeah, that's what I do all day, right? My job's to fix the damage. So I'm putting these things on teeth and I am doing my best to do it in a way that is going to be long-term stable, that's going to help. But really, I'm buying time for a tooth. Anytime I touch that tooth, it's just to get it more time so that it can hopefully outlast us. So we want to keep up, right? That's the whole idea, is to just buy time for those teeth. And we're living longer and longer, which is amazing. I have to buy more and more time. So the less I have to do, the better. The later we can do that, the better. It's just less time I have to save for that too.
It's kind of wild to think about teeth being needed to outlast us ideally, or like this idea of time saving for teeth. That's such a hot take almost. I don't think about teeth that much less like going to the dentist as like a deposit in a bank account of teeth, for the future. But I love that. I love that. That's very cool. Now, you mentioned remineralizing with what does that mean?
Good question. So, a lot of what we talk about is cavities and gum disease, but what we really should be breaking down a little bit more is that relation to the acid base balance in the mouth. And so, a lot of what we consume makes our mouth more acidic. So, think about like a lemon versus milk.
So does sparkling water with lime flavor count? Because I was guiltily setting this next to me. I heard this is bad for my teeth.
There's worse things. So, you're choosing your heart. But so we're always kind of combating that like balance in our mouth. And so what happens with acid is the minerals in our teeth, the things that make our teeth less sensitive, that make them strong, that keep them hard, are leached out in an acidic environment. So they're taken into our bodies and washed away. So that allows bacteria then to kind of move in. And bacteria leaves a deposit of acid on the tooth that helps soften it, and they can go in, in, in. That's how a cavity forms.
Strong, sneaky little buggers, aren't they?
Little buggers, and they're tiny. And so the way we remineralize them with fluoride and things like that, higher pH water, so more alkaline water. You see that sold in the stores.
Yes.
We are counteracting that acid on the tooth to allow it to be a stronger outer shell. The outer shell of our tooth is called enamel. The stronger that is, the harder it is for that acid to break it down and start letting the bacteria find a happy little home in our tooth that now I have to take out. So make sure we get that counterbalanced every day is very important. It takes about 12 hours for plaque to build up on our teeth. And that's that kind of soft, fuzzy sweater stuff that develops on the teeth. And that's where brushing morning and night comes in, because that's about every 12 hours we're removing that softer stuff from our teeth. That gets left behind. The minerals in our saliva actually allow the bacteria to turn that into what we commonly refer to as tartar or calculus. And that's that harder, more barnacle-y stuff that your hygienist has to kind of scrape out of there. Once that is in there, you can't get it out at home. And it just sits there dropping acid on your teeth all day long. Or worse, causing gum disease. And so making sure we're getting that out of there every day. So the mechanical removal, that's a good word. The removal of that bacteria and that plaque from our teeth every day is just as important as what we're remineralizing with. So the act of flossing and brushing and mechanically removing that stuff is like big chunk of what we're talking about. So if we are someone that's like, there's no way I'm putting fluoride in my body, even in a safe level, then we really have to talk about perfect skills at home and improving your diet. So getting rid of all the sugars and the refined starches and all of that, so that we're not giving that assault to our teeth as often. And we're chewing on more whole foods like a carrot or a nut, things like that. So we're choosing a different heart. It's harder to eat that way in our society. And it's good for us. It's good for our whole bodies, but no one's perfect at it.
Right. So I'm hearing like you can use fluoride and brush, fluoride toothpaste and brush, or you can drink pH balanced alkaline water, change your diet to whole foods almost entirely, and brush and floss twice a day, every day.
Yeah, and hope you hit the genetic lottery on your natural microbiome, because that's a bit like you've got a natural microbiome, and mine's going to be different than yours. And some of us are more prone to cavities. I have people that come in all the time like, I do everything right and I get cavities. My sister does everything wrong and she doesn't get cavities. Why me?
And it's the microbiome. And can you just give me like the TLDR on microbiome?
I'm just a dentist.
Too long, didn't read.
Yes, gotcha. It's the natural bacteria in your body, on your body, in your in your gut, and we all have a different makeup. Some of those bacteria are really, really good. They help prevent bad stuff from growing. And some of it causes cavities, makes us sick, gives us tummy aches. And so kind of balancing that out. And that's a cool way medicine's going, actually, and oral health is eventually we're going to be able to test your saliva, see what natural microbiome you have, and then give you the products that you need to promote your good and bring down your bad. There's a little bit of that on the market right now, but it is way too expensive for the general population on a monthly basis. But we know it starts there and it gets better and better, and we'll be able to individualize those products. So that's super cool. But until then, you can't be getting all these fillings. We need to keep that healthy.
That is so cool. And I've seen the newest like influencer thing of being like testing your microbiome for your oral health and everything. Where is the science behind that? Now I've never heard of this, but I'm just waiting for like the mom influencer that I follow to start talking about it because
Totally.
so what is that process?
For me to order a saliva test, you spit into the little thing, I send it off to the lab. They're going to analyze your bugs, basically. They're going to see what bacteria you have that are good, what bacteria you have that are bad. And then they're going to say, we need to balance this. That's where we're falling short, is with that information. We can't quite do much with it yet, but it's coming. I believe it. I know it's coming. So I don't regularly test people's saliva in my office because it's gonna be like, oh, you have all these bad things, but I'm still gonna tell you to brush and floss like I tell everyone else. So we don't have that, like that next step isn't quite there yet. I found a company doing it and I was like, I'm getting this. I have to have it. I want to see what it's like. I want to try it on myself. Like, this is great. And I go and I'm signing up to it. It's $300 a month for these oral health. I love my teeth. I am a dentist. I am not willing to budget for that. And so there's no way the general population is spending $300 a month on these care products that I don't even know if they're going to do what they're claiming to do yet. So it's this big gamble, and we need to, if I, as the dentist, won't pay that for it, who am I going to tell to buy that? So the idea of making it more accessible is where it needs to come, and we're just not there yet, but it's there. It'll be there. We'll get there. It just takes time to make it scalable for an efficient price.
That makes me think about all of like the commercialization of consumer health products and all of the stuff that you buy that somebody tells you is good for you or is like the right choice. So whether it's fluoride, like non-fluoride teeth protectors or whatever, or this type of gut fit microbiome detecting system, where do you come down on kind of the commercialization of health?
It's tough. It's also something we talk about a lot in my practice day to day. We see it a lot in oral care products. I mean, essentially, toothpaste and all of the oral products we buy fall under the category of like vitamins. The companies can write whatever they want on those bottles, those labels, and there's doesn't need to be any proof of it. The American Dental Association will endorse products that have been proven to do what they say they do. So if you're looking to really like get into, hey, I want to know that my product is doing this, look for that ADA seal, like Kevin from Home Alone, and you'll know that it has to do what it says it does. And then some of the things are just outright harmful out there, like charcoal-based toothpaste are actually harmful to your enamel. And it is a huge thing all over TikTok and the internet, because initially your teeth will look whiter, but they're so abrasive, they're just removing the outer layer of enamel to do that. So as we wear through that enamel layer, like we talked about earlier, that's our protective shell. It's also the pretty part. So it's the part we all like. The second layer of tooth is yellow. It's called dentin and it's yellow. So the less of the enamel you have, eventually that just starts showing through. That dentin wears away even faster with acids. And so the closer you get to that layer, the more susceptible you are to decay and tooth sensitivities and things like that. So a lot of it's actually like there's harmful stuff out there. And when people ask me about whitening, that's one of the first things I say: no charcoal, no baking soda, choose something that's peroxide based. We don't want abrasives on our teeth. And so it's this whole It's a constant conversation I'm having. It's same with toothbrushes. I could go on about toothbrushes. You never should put a toothbrush in your mouth that isn't a soft or extra soft toothbrush. And so then the next
Wait, what? I love a firm toothbrush.
no. Yes. So the next question is, why do they sell them? There's research, more things on the shelves, more options make you buy more. If they had 2 toothbrushes, you wouldn't be as intrigued to look and shop and get into it. So those are good for your grout and your mouth. They're not good for your teeth and your gums. Soft and extra soft only. Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like I've been taken advantage of by like big tooth. There's like big pharma and like, big tobacco. I feel like big tooth has taken over.
It's into the big pharma stuff, right? Like, and that's a little bit of my fear when we get back to the water fluoridation thing. So if we pull that from the water, the safe amounts we have in the United States that are recommended and studied, not the 3 to 16 times the recommended value studies that we're getting back. Anything over the limit is toxic, including oxygen. So with our safe limits, if we pull that from the water, now we're going to rely on these companies to sell us stuff to protect our teeth. And we do to some extent because fluoride in the toothpaste has been proven to do a good job. But for the kids or the adults that don't have access to buying the more expensive toothpaste, if I do a prescription toothpaste and you don't have coverage for it, I think the tube is like $25 or $27 a bottle.
Whoa, that's really expensive.
Really expensive for a tube of toothpaste. Most people will have some sort of insurance coverage for that. But if that's now the only way you're getting fluoride on this child's teeth and it's a $25 tube of toothpaste, it's not achievable. So I think we're actually giving away power in our choices by doing things like that because now we have to buy it, where it's a very inexpensive way to help a lot of people. And that might not necessarily affect you or affect me or even maybe my patients directly because they have the ability to see a dentist and buy the product that I tell them is going to be best for them or that they've decided is best for them. But that's not that's not generally true for everyone. So it's kind of a slap in the face to a lot of people, but like, hey, I want my choice because I can afford to have it. But that means you don't get one.
Wow. I haven't put that way. And it's so obviously like discriminating against huge numbers of Americans.
Well, the other thing, I started doing research on the fluoridated water because you learn about it in school and you kind of have that like knowledge of, yes, this is good for people. And then you start seeing the sensationalized headlines and you're like, am I wrong? Was I taught wrong? Like, I need to learn more about this. And you start digging into it. I think I even reached out to you. I'm like, hey, I can't find this or whatever. And you had access to some research you sent me. You start researching it. We're kind of talking about the wrong thing. There's a huge population of Americans who are using natural well water that's got natural fluoride in it above the recommended limit. So why aren't we talking about fixing that? Like, why
Yeah. Well, so I think you might be referring to that new review that found a correlation between fluoride exposure and lower IQ, right?
they used a correlation to say there was a causation. So they have this group of kids that live in the same community, essentially the same SES, the same water, same kind of
Yes. What's that?
social economic status.
Okay, so they come from the same type of family background financially.
Kind of families, same kind of incomes, eating essentially, if they're eating at school, they're getting the same diet. They're kind of that same community. And that study doesn't account for any of that. Maybe they're malnourished. We don't know anything about these children, but it also didn't look at what else might be in that water. Like, did it have lead? We don't know. So they're using umbrella, like it's the saying, like if you use causation versus correlation, it'd be like every time you see someone with an umbrella, you'd say they're causing rain. Because you see umbrella, rain. That's always going to, so umbrellas cause rain.
Or the one where it's like ice cream causes shark attacks because shark attacks go up in the summer when people are at the beach, but also there are higher ice cream sales.
Yes. Like, we all know that's not true, but you put it in this big study of all these statistics. I took years of statistics at a very high level. I don't use it daily. So you throw the statistics in front of me and I'm like, oh, whoa, that sounds scary. And so then you have to get a little deeper into it because I'm telling people to do this like daily. I'm like, fluoride is going to prevent cavities. I write prescriptions for prescription strength fluoride. If there's something wrong with it, I want to know. These are the people that live around me. This is my community. These are my kids. And you start getting into it and you're like, oh, well, the headline was really convincing, but the meat of it, you start going, well, umbrellas don't cause rain. It just is a hard one because we all do want to, if there's anything we can do to give our kids a leg up, we do that, right? We give them their gummy vitamins. We give them their organic food whenever we can. We brush their teeth. We're trying to make their lives better. And so you see that headline like, oh, you're going to make them have a lower IQ. Well, that's against everything I'm trying to do. We're reading every day, all this time doing phonics. So just kind of stepping back from that like panic that happens when you see the headline and really reading what that says and means. The study out of China is completely unrelatable to the United States. It was 3 to 16 times the recommended values these kids were getting exposed to.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's not anything near what is in our getting added to our water. And a lot of times we're just correcting the water. It has some naturally in it, some too high, some too low. There are places where they're pulling it out, but these natural wells, that's not always happening. And so it goes back to, I think we're having the wrong conversation. Like we're picking the wrong battle.
Yeah, it sounds like we really need to look into this well situation. I've never heard of it.
Overexposure from these studies, overexposure is a problem. Overexposure to oxygen is a problem. Overexposure to anything is a problem, right? The amount of water you drink to overexpose yourself to fluoride that is in a recommended dose in your water, you would die from water consumption before you would die from the fluoride.
You drown yourself accidentally.
So it just is like, it's a little wild.
So then, though, I think about like this whole like going back to the flavored toothpaste, the swallowing of toothpaste. If we do have fluoridated water, and we're doing fluoride toothpaste, which I'm doing both, and I believe Massachusetts has fluoridated water, and I'm having fluoride in the toothpaste, and my kids have fluoride in their toothpaste. Am I doing too much? Should I do less? Should I get a non-fluoride toothpaste?
You're looking at two different things. So one is the concentration of it, and two is how we're using it. So with our toothpaste, we do not want to eat it. So when we talk about children, 3 and younger, but I usually say until they can spit the toothpaste out themselves, you're looking at a grain of rice size amount of toothpaste on your child's toothbrush. It is not the big old boosh you see on the bottles. It is not that. Wait till I tell you about adults. You're going to be shocked as well.
Oh, wait, I've been using way too much toothpaste for my kids. Oh no. Oh no.
A grain of rice until they can spit out. And we're saying that as a topical. They're going to swallow very little of that because we're not putting it in their water. We're brushing it on their teeth and asking them to spit out. Until they're able to spit out, grain of rice. Once we're confident they're spitting out well, we can go up to a pea-size amount of toothpaste. Apply that to the teeth, brush that around after flossing, of course. And
you brush after flossing. Just want to quickly grab that. Okay, cool.
Floss, brush, bed.
Note, brush after flossing. Got it. Okay.
And so you're going to put a pea-size amount on anyone that can spit out. That includes adults. You do not need the big swoosh of toothpaste.
Swoop, my beautiful swoop.
Beautiful swoop. It's good marketing. The picture makes you think you need the swoop. Just a pea-size amount. You're going to brush that around. You're going to spit out. Don't rinse it off. That's another one that shakes things. Yes. Don't rinse it off. You want that topical application to sit on your teeth so that it can do its job remineralizing. When you put it on there and just wash it away, you're not letting you're not maximum therapeutic benefits. I know that one shakes it up too.
Okay, I honestly, my jaw is on the floor. Holy moly. Okay, folks, you heard it here first. Do not, do not rinse your mouth after brushing your teeth. How have we been friends for 16 years and you've been a dentist for most of it, and you have never given me this information?
Better attention to my Instagram. No, it's weird. And so sometimes I'm like, I need to spit this out. Like it's yucky. Like I drank red wine before this. Like I want it out. And so you can rinse it out and then put a little bit more toothpaste and put it back on your teeth so that you're getting that therapeutic benefit. This is especially important at night. We produce less saliva at night. Saliva is our natural kind of cleanser, helps keep things off. And we're going to be kind of the longest period of time sitting still. So that bacteria is super happy. Less saliva to wash away and food to eat. So at night, it's super important to really counteract that before we go to bed.
I feel like I've been living a lie.
Sorry.
I feel like I've been living a lie. And I don't even know. This is a whole new habit to form.
Yes, it is. It's a weird one.
Oh my God. Well, I feel like we should just stop talking right now. I have to go think about this.
Your life is going to change now.
Oh my God. Okay.
So the mechanical removal, leaving that on to do its job, get the maximum benefits for it. Can I make one plug for people who really don't want to use any fluoride?
Please.
Yeah. So if we're going to use no fluoride, which I have plenty of patients that decide, I heard you. Thanks for sharing this with me. I still don't want it. Okay. So we've talked about mechanical removal. We've talked about diet being so important. And then the third is there is an up and coming product called nanohydroxyapatite. And this is where there's a lot of clickbait on social media for it because it claims that it's going to remineralize your teeth and cure cavities. Cavities get to a certain depth. There's nothing you can do. You need me. I have a job for a reason. Maybe one day, but for now, I have a job. Yeah. It's newer. We have very preliminary research on it. There is some indication that in the correct concentration and the correct size particles, it can help with that. In the same token, I am reading things that we're finding it in people's livers or because they're tiny nanoparticles. And so they're not filtering through our system like other particles do. And so we just don't know enough yet. But that's my one that I'm like, okay, if we're going to choose something, maybe this will help. Oil pulling comes up as another one. There is research behind that to support helping your teeth, but there's a certain...
And this is an Ayurvedic medicine intervention, is oil pulling.
Yes, and there is some research to support that you can get some therapeutic benefits from it. Specific oils, and you must swish it through your teeth for at least 20 minutes, changing the consistency of the oil. I have a hard time getting people to floss and brush, which should be like a 3-minute deal. So I have a really hard time telling people 20 minutes twice a day, you're not going to be able to talk. You have to swish this through your mouth until it changes consistency. And then you might be getting some therapeutic benefits from it. So it's there if you're willing to. And it's, again, your choose your heart. Our life is so fast paced and all of that. I know I don't have 20 minutes to be quiet and do that. Maybe I should. Maybe that's my...
I think both of our spouses would thank us.
Maybe that's my moment. Like, Mom, her oil pulling now. Leave me alone for 20 minutes. But I feel like it's just not my reality. And it's just not most people's reality. And so we have this really inexpensive and safe way to take care of our teeth that still is hard for some people to fit in. So just, it goes back to that choose your heart.
But there are options for folks. Nanohydroxy, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, blah, blah, blah. You'll find it.
You'll find it.
People are selling all sorts of stuff out there. So really dive into that. That's the way you're going to go.
Okay. Plus brushing, plus diet, plus perhaps not drinking municipal water and drinking bottled water only. It sounds like if they don't want any fluoride, right?
Things, right? Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's mixed in communities of having fluoridated water or not. What's interesting is that we're way up in arms about this, but we actually don't have more modern research on it because when we started doing it, we weren't using the fluoridated toothpaste and all of that as much. And so it might not have as big of impact now as it did when it was initially started. Get that statistic of 25% reduction in tooth decay and need for restorations in communities with fluoridated water. Now that it is more commonplace to use a fluoride toothpaste and floss regularly, we might not see quite as drastic of a change. So if the fluoride is pulled from your water in your community, just chat with your dentist and see, like, hey, am I doing a good job at home? Am I using the right products? Because it might not be as tragic for you, but it could be for some of the people who just can't get access to the products and the dentists and all of that other people can.
Makes me sad.
That's the disparity side of it that is more of the concern, at least in my practice.
Yeah, I hear that. That is sad. That is sad. It's the well-resourced folks that are going to be okay. Like always, though.
It just kind of comes down to you're able to access it. And if you do get a cavity, hopefully you're seeing the dentist regularly and they're treating it when it's small and it's not as big a deal.
Yeah, instead of going prospecting in my mouth.
I don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, so one final question before we end here. If you could inspire 1 million people to adopt one oral health habit, what would it be and why? And I'm saying adopt as in, like, let's assume that people brush and don't floss twice a day.
I'm definitely going to say floss. Because no one can floss their teeth and not brush. Because, ew. There's no way. So floss.
Because of the sweaters.
Mm-hmm. And like once you floss, you realize how much stuff's actually in there that you didn't realize. If you want to be really gross and convince yourself you should floss, smell your floss. It is disgusting. And so flossing, it's related to so many positive health outcomes, not only for your mouth, lower gum disease, lower cavity rates, but we also see it correlated with, not causation, correlated with lower instances of heart disease, better management of diabetes, better pregnancy outcomes. And a lot of that's because we're lowering inflammation in the body and bringing that inflammation down. And so flossing would be my number one thing I would say everyone should do daily at night before you brush, ideally. I'll take it anytime, really anytime.
Okay. You heard it here. Don't rinse after brushing.
Spit it
and
out.
Floss your teeth, folks. Floss your teeth.
Yes.
Okay. My friend, Dr. Alexandria Arditti, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a wonderful education in oral health and hygiene, and also in understanding a little bit more about where we all come down on this fluoride situation. And I think also like dental commercialization also. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was very fun.
Dr. Arditti, thank you so much for joining us on the Science to People podcast. This clarity on fluoride and really overall oral health gave our listeners and me a lot of practical insights to navigate and to think about when it comes to today's headlines and what I choose to do with my teeth every day. To everyone tuning in, if this episode helped cut through the noise, please subscribe, leave a review, share it with somebody who cares about their healthy smile. See you next time.